Welcome back and thank you very much. This is TV3Newday. Let's check out what's on the front pages of the dailies. The Finder newspaper is first. The part of a crowd to experience 11 weeks of power outage, according to Gridco. Also, 2 persons accused of evading 21.9 million Ghana cedis tax granted, 1 million Ghana cedis bail. Police clamps down on indisciplined motorcycle riders. EcoBank gets Ghana donates 100,000 Ghana cedis to Apiachi support fund. EcoBank, well, the Volta region is also calling. Keta, Loga, Ketu South, they are calling you. Child Rights International sues government for failing to enforce children's rights and streetism. The BNFT says UHAS confers Doctor of Science on Dr. Japong. Also, tourists spend 60% of budget on accommodation. Stock market showing promising signs. And Child Rights International drags AG to the Supreme Court. Well, the Inquisitor moves to dirty framer fail. Who is moving and who is dirtying and who is failing? Find out. Hatchet job in MPP against incumbent national executives John Boydu, K. Jefwa, and Nana Bache. Against Prof. Atu Duncan seeks global peace, and Kufuor eulogizes late Hajia Ramatu Mahama, wife of his vice president, deceased Alhaji Aliyu Mahama. The Supreme newspaper, security officials beat freight forwarder in Aplau for taking selfie on his way to work, thinking he was capturing the alleged shady deals. NADMO responds to tidal wave victims. How many days after? I don't know. Oforiata endorses Baumia as next leader after Akufo-Addo. Fixing the country movement shreds Mahama, and honorary doctor of science degree conferred on Dr. Japong. The Ghanaian Observer, digitization has dealt a big blow to corruption. Dr. Baumia, UHAS confirms Doctor of Science on Dr. Japong. VIP launches NYA's Youth Volunteers Program today. That's going to happen today later. I think at the KNUST. The Daily Statesman, NSS opens registration for defaulters, private candidates, $4 billion to cushion African economies against Ukraine crisis. Ramatu Aliyu Mahama laid to rest, and Spiogaba endorses Dufour's agenda for new NDC. Finally, the Republic Press. Former First Lady Emily Akufo-Addo is dead. Also, CR Central Region fiscally challenged, alleged assaulted by the police. Jack pays tribute to Vip's wife, and Akachi on fire. Police killed 2 in bloody clash. I'm ready for Privileges Committee. Ken Ejapon rants, of course. And UHAS confirms Doctor of Science degree on Dr. Ejapon. Good morning to you, Honorable Abla Jifagomashi, MP for Ketu South. They have not received the needed support, I must say, since they were hit by the tidal waves 2 times or 3 times last year and again this year. And I'm not too happy about it, because Apiachi is an example. We have seen what the government is able to do, rally support and get all of it for it. And people like to put, some bit of politics on it. But lives are at stake. Livelihoods are at stake. People's homes have been washed away, eaten away by the sea. And I want to say good morning to you, Mr. President. Yes, it is your ultimate responsibility as part of the oath you swore before Parliament and before everybody in Ghana that you will be responsible for the lives and preservation of all citizens of Ghana. The people in the Volta region, Ketu South, Keta, and Noga, they are calling on you, Mr. President. It is your job. It is your call. And it is your duty. Good morning to you. Alfred Thompson joins us on behalf of the NPP, and also Malik Basintale. He is the Director of Communications in the Savannah region on behalf of the NDC. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Good morning, Jordan.
Malik is in opposition, but he has abandoned me, and I feel very sad about it. That he has abandoned us. Let me include you so that it's
a unified behave like Kandapa.
I don't know. You should tilt it in our favor.
It's like us.
Malik, how have you been?
I'm fine. I'm good. I spent some time in my region. I was strolling the northern parts of this country. It's of a great interest to me. Sometimes I want to go around and see how people are doing, face to face with economic situations on the ground, face to face with, the challenges people go through on the ground. And if you sit in Accra, sometimes you will not be able to appreciate perfectly well what people are going through down there. And so once in a while, I try to stay there. I try to see what actually is happening there. So when I get on your set, I speak with facts. I speak with detailed evidence. I tell you the challenges people are going through there. And I mean, at the end of the day, I know that, yes, it resonates well with the people down there. And so I've been around. Once in a while, I watch on your stats, I follow you on social media, and I'm impressed with your works. It's no different, I mean, from what you did even before, I mean, 2016. Just that the difference today is that you are being victimized and bastardized, and sometimes I go through the comment sections and I realize a lot of people attacking you and even aligning you. In fact, the last time I saw a comment, someone was asking you to contest for the next chairman.
In fact, they said I'm already chairman
of the NDC. So I was like, wow. But I mean, before 2016, when you spoke of some of the challenges we had, no one asked you to become the chairman of the New Patriotic Party. And
it is well.
Yes, I've been monitoring. You're doing a good job. I mean, kudos to that.
Thank you.
Speak of economic crisis and economic situations. You've got our thumbs. And I mean, even if you continue this until forever, I would appreciate it, because we would have a journalist who would stand for the truth.
I hear you.
And stand for real situations.
I'm grateful. Send Momo.
Yeah.
The opening remarks is quite enormous. It's just to paint and whitewash the gap that is left open there.
So now he's
trying to fill it.
But how is it going on the ground though for you?
It's not been easy. Before I start, I'll say good morning to everyone, and I'll say I'm sending my sincere condolences to Honorable Aliu.
All right.
Mahama. He lost the mother, over the weekend. She was buried, and according to the Islamic tradition. And to him and the family, I say our deepest condolences. To our Muslim brothers who are fasting, I'll say we are still with you in prayers. We ask Allah for His blessings during this time, and we know that at the end of it all, something good will come out of it. I wish especially my brothers in the central region and my sisters, I wish them the best during this time, and I'm with them in prayers. It's not been an easy journey, I would say, and it's never going to be easy, because nothing good comes on a silver platter. It's a tough race, especially when you're in government and everyone believes that you have all the money and everything. The asking of money has gone high a bit, even though it's
on the ground.
Yes,
people are still demanding for money because you want to serve.
They need not because you want to serve, but they need a help for their own race. They need a help to also support others, and they need the help to, and times are hard, as we all have put it, and we all know, and so they need that support in everything they are doing. So definitely, once you are standing, they believe that you can help in one way or another. And we'll say that it's not been easy for all of us, but at the end of the day, their welfare is our concern, and we are very much concerned about what goes on, and we'll put things right for them to enjoy what they have to enjoy at the end of the day. And I believe that we'll come out victorious in this race.
I hear you.
I wish everyone well.
Okay.
Even those who are opposing me, I wish them well.
I hear you. Nadu sends this one. Says, Johnny, my 3-year-old son went to call his daddy from bed and told him, Uncle on TV said you should get up and go and bath and go to work. This is to all the MPs who don't go to work. Go and get up, go and take your bath and go to work. Stop them to atwa. On page 3 of the BNFT says Child Rights International drags AG to court. And I want us to talk about this because I think that all along the streets, you will find children at nearly every junction begging for money. Now they do it brazenly. And they come to you. If
they kneel down in front of your car.
They kneel down in front of your car, literally blackmailing and gazumping you to do what you do. And Child Rights International has dragged the Attorney General to the Supreme Court over child streetism. The applicant is asking the Apex Court to declare that the government is in breach of Articles 15.1, 2, and 13.1 and 35.4 of the 1992 Constitution for not taking urgent steps to ensure that children receive special protection against exposure to physical and moral hazards as enshrined in the Constitution of Ghana, 1992. Mr. Bright Appiah confirmed the story and said the writ was filed to address the national security threat child streetism posed on the nation, to give meaning to children's right to education and ensure children in Ghana are given proper care like others in advanced democracies. Checks with the court registry indicated the writ was filed on March 3. Malik, quickly, we'll go to Adongo, but I want us to quickly deal with this because when you drive through town, you see them. And I'm looking at the next 10, 15 years, I don't mind you. The kind of impact this streetism and the phenomenon of same will have on us. What do you say?
Well, I testify to things like this on our streets because I plow streets on a daily basis and I see what happens there. I mean, first it started as, a corridor for, the aged to camp on the streets and then start begging for alms and all that. Now we have children taking part in, these exercises on our streets. Now they've metamorphosed into a new space where they don't beg, but they pretend to sell, petty things. And so you see someone holding two, earbuds. Absolutely, and they say they are selling.
Right.
Then when she comes and she pretends to sell, she then asks for, some little resources if you don't buy. And so it becomes very difficult to know who actually is a hawker and who actually is begging on the streets. Right. Now, some come in the form of, wanting to wipe your screens. And, after wiping, the demand for peanuts and all that. So in totality, we cannot tackle it from just streetism, from one angle. If we want to do away with those people, we must do away with hawking. We must do away with all the people we find on our streets. Because you see,
but can't we start from somewhere?
The case, if we want to start from somewhere, then let's start from the corridors, the borders. Because, Johnny, 90% of people on our streets who, conduct themselves or, perform these activities are non-Ghanaians. 90%. I dare say 95%. Where do they come from? Where do they pass through? From which routes? What is the immigration controller doing about situations like this? Why are they not manning our borders? Because these people come through these corridors into the country and then they plow our streets. Look, you would hardly see a Ghanaian on the streets in the morning, a Ghanaian child doing things like this. The Ghanaian young boys will come and clean your screens and all that. You would hardly. And so if there's a point we must start from, let's start from the borders. Let's start manning the borders. The immigration controller, Mr. Techi, also. What is he doing about situations like this? He must sit up. He must be up to task. He must stop people like this from, passing through our corridors and coming on our streets. And this is the first call. And this is the first point, to eradicate situations like this. The second would have to do in totality to what I was saying before, by eradicating, clearing all those people off our streets so that you don't cure one situation and then they come, disguised in another form,
right,
and then engage in same activities. And so if we want to put a stop to this, I think these are, measures we must begin, looking out for.
Do you share Child Rights International's view that the government is shaking its responsibility to protect even indigents of this country who may be in that situation?
You see, the fundamental point would have to do with economic crisis. People don't find pleasure coming out to beg for alms. I don't think there's anyone in this country who feels that, look, let me just come out and beg for alms. People are trapped in economic situations. People are trapped in economic crisis. And most often than not, that leads to situations like this. And so in order to stop matters of this sort, we must set up with our economic matters in this country. I don't think that if there are more, formal, informal, petty jobs for people to do, you would find people on the streets like this, coming to beg for alms. And then the Ghana Police Service must set up in situations like this. You find a police officer directing traffic, and then right at that junction, you find these children. In fact, in some situations, they even sit to chat with them. And then you ask yourself what they are doing to stop things like this, because there's a clear illegality. It is same as going to arrest armed robbers who are undertaking a robbery activity, because there's an illegality. That's an illegality. And so we must set up with all these measures. We must begin sensitizing people on why it's even riskier, for them to be on the streets. Look, last year, a trotro, driver drove into and killed about 2 of them because he had failed brakes. Yes, it's a failure on his part not to, service his vehicle, But if those people were not on the streets, I don't think he would have
killed.
Absolutely. And so these are things we must look out for. And then there must be a sensitization exercise to finally do away with things like this.
I hear you. Alfred, as a father figure, what do you say?
John, it's a tough one. It's really a tough one. I'm wondering, whilst my brother Malik was speaking, I was wondering who is in charge of clearing them off the streets? Is it the police? Is it who?
Gender ministry, social welfare.
I remember when President Kufuor was in power, the formation of the
Women and Children Ministry,
the YEA,
right,
was due to this. You know, he registered a lot of these people, hawkers on the streets and everything. They wanted to know their profession, and that was how
shoemakers,
shoemakers and everything. And even at that time, the opposition was saying that, oh, it's just a way of writing names and just deceiving the people. And then the formation at that time, it wasn't YEA. They didn't call it right. They had another name, and
or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then when this came, they changed their name. Then they came back to YE and all these. You see, it was to get all these young ones off the streets. And so I keep asking myself, what went wrong during this course? Because once you are getting them off gradually, definitely more would also want to come to register their names to make sure that they are picked. And so once you are picking from that quarters, we get them off the streets, and the police too should be doing their jobs to get them off. It's very scary when you are driving and you get there and all of a sudden someone just knocks on your window. And the knock is like as if they own the car and you have to give them something. You turn yourself, and the first thing they do is they go on their knees, begging you for something. So I keep on asking, what is the problem? Yes, we know there's some unemployment in the system. We know jobs are not easy to get found and everything. But there are centers that you can go and register. And also, one time I rolled my window down and asked, I think the guy was selling either these face masks. And I said, so how much do you get in a day when you are selling this face mask? How much do you get in a day? And some of these guys, you even get them employment and still they'll leave and come back to the streets.
Because they find it profitable.
Yes. So you ask, how do we solve? We all have to come together to solve this problem. How do we do it? How do we do it? And we need the police to be on their other stand and really get, especially the children. I believe there's a law that sues the parents when the children are hawking on the streets.
That's right.
And we need to really up that game.
But that's what Child Rights is doing. The government has failed to enforce those portions of the Constitution.
I believe the first person he had to send to the court was the police, the IGP. That's the first person. You see, when we always do it, government.
It's you, the Attorney General.
Yes.
It is his job to ensure that.
Start with the police, and then you can add the Attorney General, as government being the second person who has failed. But start with the police. Let people do their jobs. Like you are telling the MPs to bath and go to work.
Yeah.
The IGP should let his people do their job. Get the people off the street. Give a last warning. Nobody should be seen off this. If we see your child on the street, we would locate you, the parent, and you'll be taken to court. Let us start instilling our laws. And then there will be some discipline. There will be some discipline. Otherwise, it would just leave it and always blame government, and people will sit down and watch and do not do what they have to do.
I know that Brighter Pierre and his Child Rights International have been on this beat for quite some time. In fact, the last time I spoke about streetism here, somebody at the presidency said, I have given birth to a child and I have not gone to collect the child. Somebody, a grey-haired person. I felt so bad about it.
But have you given birth to a child somewhere?
My child is my child. I'm not that irresponsible. So but somebody said it.
How would the person know?
But the tragedy...
You should have taken the person on.
No, I don't have time for people who misconduct themselves, elders particularly. But the painful part is this, that we're talking about such a serious matter and somebody decides to trivialize it for whatever reason. You get what I'm saying? And it is from the seat of the government. You see, he said it, and he had the temerity to write it on social media.
Somebody said it to us. Unfortunately, I mean, we shouldn't reduce everything to mere politics. It's unfortunate. I don't know why the person would do. I don't know who it is, and I don't know why the person would do that. But I keep on saying, and I'll keep on saying, when we start attacking from the wrong angle, we'll always get it wrong, and that is why appealing or talking to the conscience. I know Bright will be watching us this morning.
Right.
He should start with the.
He should go for the police.
Yes, it's their duty. It's their duty to protect citizens, to get people off the streets. So start with them, attach the AG to it. That government is not doing their own.
Everybody
but when you
should
start
get
straight
up from
from
bath and
yes,
do their
when
work.
you start straight from government, it means that it's either you see they'll see it as being politicized, or someone would write what they wrote to you. Let's attack those who are not doing their work, and then they can now say that government hasn't given me the right tools to do what I have to do.
Right.
Then government will have to
Then
respond.
you hold them to account.
Thank you.
I
Let
get
us
it.
start doing it that way, and let
get
us stop everything straight to government. It doesn't help the cause.
I hear you. Thank you very much indeed. And your thoughts and comments are welcome. Robert Coleman says I should tell you that you need astroturfs in your community. That the youth are asking for astroturfs all over. So, do you have astroturfs in your community? You don't.
In my region,
Yeah, Savannah region.
we have one that was put up.
Only one.
I mean, by the NDC in the Savannah region,
only one.
in the Salaga South constituency.
Only
I mean,
one. Alfred, do you have
It
some
was.
astroturf in your constituency?
Central region.
Yes.
Oh, Central region we have.
You have some. You have like
have,
three.
yeah. Oh, we have scattered.
There's only stadiums.
It's not only three.
It's only three.
It can't be.
Anyway.
I'll give you the list.
John says some of these kids are violent. They either insult you if you fail to give them money or scratch your car with sharp objects. It's actually a business for some people. Get to the Paloma area around 4 a.m. thereabouts and see how they are bussed there. It's a serious problem. Good morning, Johnny. That's sad. So kudos to Child Rights International for starting this, and I hope that we get some real answers from it. I remember that under Nanaoye Letha, also Nanaoye Bampoado, now she's called. I spoke about it. They were cleared off the street 1 week. They were brought back.
And they come.
Under Otiko Jaba, they were cleared. They were brought back. Adjoa Safo is there now. No, she's not present at the ministry now. It's Cecilia Dapa who's there now, and I don't know why. But let's take a look at Mr. Dongo. Yesterday, trying to answer Dr. Baumia in the economic lecture that he did for the nation. Toss the video in for me, please.
A system of financial reporting that try to manipulate our fiscal data and our finances. And any person who has learned finance and understand finance will tell you that when you cut and paste, the day the computer will freeze and you cannot cut, you will be exposed. They began to treat contingent liabilities such as payment due energy sector independent power producers since 2018 and to continue to payment due to as IPPs as part of amortization to artificially suppress the fiscal deficit. This payment conventionally should have been classified and treated as expenditures and being financed as part of the deficit. Bank of Ghana is reporting the cost of the financial clean sector cleanup at 16.7 billion. Yesterday we had 24 billion. It means that over 8 billion of the financial sector cost is not reflected in our public debt.
That's Mr. Adongo there asking questions. Malik, let me begin this conversation with you because Mr. Adongo belongs to your party. First of all, I want to ask, is there anything good that you would ever pause to say about Dr. Baumia? Because you guys are always at his neck.
Well, there are some good sides of him, like his perfect ability to skim economic figures, like his ability to, through some dubious means, spill dust into the eyes of Ghanaians.
And
like
that is
his
good
ability.
for you.
They are good traits of him. He finds it good, and that is why he does it smiling and sometimes even laughing. And so, if it wasn't good, I don't think he would hug it and say it in a manner in which he does. First of all, Johnny, I listened to the about 3-hour tape of Dr. Baumia on Thursday, right?
Right.
And then I listened to about 1 hour, 30 minutes response of Honorable Adongo.
Dr. Baumia's was 2 hours.
Was about 2 hours,
Yeah,
yes.
about 2 hours,
And Honorable Adongo was about 3 hours. Clearly, any businessman or any investor who listened to Dr. Baumia would go home very uninspired and very hopeless. And the reason being that, first of all, as the leader of our economic management team, we feel that once you give a state of the nation's address or the state of the economy, there should be some projections in your delivery. You should be able to tell us, how the economy would fare in 2023, how the economy will even fare in December 2022, how the economy will fare till 2024. These are projections. You cannot speak about the economy without giving. There wasn't a single projection.
But he told you that we're in a difficult place.
Because we are in a difficult place, people will need to know what's going to happen after this so-called difficult place. And that is what investors are always looking out for. And that is why there's a budget they always read. Months to the year in which it's supposed to be implemented. No projection, no single projection made by Dr. Bawumia. And so that's the first failure of the vice president's speech, a man who is the leader of the economic management team. The second had to do with striking of his averages. Johnny, I ask you, how much do you give your wife as chop money today? Then your answer will be that, in 2017, I used to give her 200 cedis. And so when you strike the average of what I've been giving her, I've been giving her about 180 cedis on average. What kind of logic is that?
What is wrong with it?
You are given the state of the economy as of today, and you are striking averages. What are averages to?
There's nothing wrong with averages and percentages.
There is everything wrong with averages in terms of figures, in terms of GDP figures, in terms of our debt ratios, in terms of our policy rates, in terms of our interest rates, because the investor needs real figures to work with.
But if you're doing a comparative analysis, you would compare the past with the present and you strike that average.
What is the use of 8.1 growth in 2017 to an investor who wants to invest in this country today? What is the use of 8.1 growth in 2017 to an investor who wants to invest today when we are growing at about 3.6%?
It means that we have done it before, we can do it again.
We've done it before because your predecessor did well in 2016. And that is why I keep saying that is why the budget is read months to the next year. That is why the budget was read in 2016 before they came into office in 2017, because the projections, the state of the economy as of 2016 will lead us to the values we'll get in 2017. And so whatever you achieved in 2017 was a result of the mechanisms put in place in 2016. And so any investor who sees our growth rate at 8.1 in 2017 and today looks at it and it's about 3.6% would lose total confidence in it, because these are different managers of that economy.
But then there's a global crisis
I would explain
that you must pay attention to. I'm sorry, but I need to contextualize
but I know, but I'll explain that. Don't
Right.
worry. I'm going detail by detail.
Right.
He was striking averages and couldn't point out the current economic situations. Now, he spoke about COVID-19. In fact, the whole speech was pegged onto COVID, Russia, Ukraine, COVID, Russia, Ukraine. And I'm sure that in the coming days, even, the current crisis we're experiencing in Boko, the current Boko, war, would be one of the factors why Dr. Bawumia would fail before 2024. Now, during COVID, Johnny, this government benefited more than it did even before COVID and even now. Why? Before COVID, the dollar depreciation was about 7.1. During COVID, because there wasn't so much pressure on our dollar, there wasn't so much demand for dollar, the dollar depreciation reduced to 3.6 and subsequently 4.1 during COVID. Now, do you know the dollar depreciation rate? It is at 14% after COVID. So during COVID, COVID rather supported Alhaji Bawumia, stabilized the dollar, because there wasn't so much pressure on our international shocks. Two, during COVID, there were so much funds trooping into the country. And I have a document here that stated clearly the revenues we had during COVID. In fact, before COVID and during COVID. In 2019, I beg you, I'm coming. You can refer. They're on the IMF page. No, you can refer, don't worry. However, this is a matter of semantics, don't worry. In 2019, our tax revenue was 42 billion.
Right.
2019, that's before COVID, okay? During COVID, that's 2021, our tax revenue was 55 billion, more than we achieved before COVID. During COVID, there were grants and support that came from the international communities. In fact, Ghana accrued close to 30 billion from the crisis because there were rapid facilities that IMF gave us. There were donations, there were local donations and contributions from organizations within the country.
For the benefit of the people.
Absolutely. And then they gave to this government during COVID free monies that they were not going to pay back. President Akufo-Addo, in fact, and that's the dishonest part of his presentation, President Akufo-Addo said they had spent 17 billion. Dr. Bawumia said they had spent 8.1 billion. However, let me strike an average because he's good at averages. You get about 10 billion. Where is the balance of about 20 billion that was accrued during COVID? Before COVID, okay, and let me take you back to 2016. We sold a gallon of fuel for about 15 cedis, 13 to 15 cedis. Let me even say 16 cedis. In 2019, a gallon of fuel went for 33 cedis. What caused that rise?
Global prices.
Was that COVID?
Your taxes.
Global prices went far low. Are you aware? And this is the kind of warped logic and analysis they've been putting out there, that when global prices are high, Ghana runs at a loss. In 2017, global prices rose to about $84 a barrel. Under our regime, it came low to about $50. And that was why the SPT, the Special Petroleum Tax, was imposed to beef up the gap. In 2017-2018, we made an export of crude oil to a tune of $2.8 billion. We imported about $1.7 billion of finished petroleum products. There was a windfall of about $1.1 billion. That is profit minus taxes, interest rates, and what have you. That is profit for the government. Where is that money? What was that money used for? Today, the stabilization fund has accrued more than $3 billion in excess dollars for this government. Where is that money? Before COVID, in fact, in 2016, the dollar rose to about 4.2 Ghana cedis, $1. Oh, they described the NDC as incompetent. Oh, you people were reckless. Oh, mismanagement. You see, sometimes I look at Alhaji Bawumia and I wonder if he was the same figure who was putting up those speeches before the assumption.
But he doesn't work alone. You see, that's the thing.
You see,
he works with the team.
And before 2016, he knew he would.
So why do you heap all the blame on him?
President Mahama worked alone, right? Why did they heap the blame on only President Mahama? In fact, President Mahama was even president, not head of the economic management team. Dr. Bawumia today is head of the economic management team, and he knew he wasn't going to work alone. So why? So, okay, then senior ministers, so they are all failures. Let me say that. Dr. Bawumia, before 2016, the dollar rose at 4.2 cedis. Before COVID, in 2019, we were changing at 6.5. What happened to that? What happened? Before 2016, we had borrowed about 120 billion. Before COVID, in 2019, they had increased our debt to about 280 billion. Was that COVID? And so, if you do a clear pre-COVID analysis, you would understand why, even before COVID, the IMF told us that we were moving into a debt distress situation because the borrowing was too much. Look, now here are some figures.
But the borrowing was for a purpose.
Let me
the borrowing, government has explained that there are 16 flagship programs. Banking sector cleanup, for example, has taken a portion of it. 16 programs that are benefiting people: free SHS, planting for food and jobs, rearing for food and jobs, planting for export and rural development, one village, one dam, one district factory,
Johnny,
ambulances, 1 million per constituency. You can tell where your money is going.
I won't even debate you on the credibility.
You are not supposed to debate.
Yes, or the credibility or the reality of some of these projects you are mentioning, because the people know that they are false. But you see, let me limit it to
quickly. So you have to be.
Yes, let me limit it to this situation. Government has borrowed currently about 280 billion. The current debt stock. Government has added onto 120 billion. We are adding for 400 billion. You know how much the government has used on capital expenditure? About 36 billion. 36 billion out of about 280 billion. What has the change been used for in this country?
Tell me. What do you
now, out of the 36 billion, our oil, our free SHS, they told us that they used our oil resources to fund it. They told us. Under 1D1F, they went into PPA. And so that is why you have companies, 1D1F companies like Motokane Recycling Plant in Tamale, which was, inaugurated in 1996. They've added it. Today, Voltic, including Casapreco, is part of 1D1F. So no new factories. Now, if you look at...
but you cannot say that there are no new factories.
Johnny, you see...
If there are 104 factories expanded, And there are new factories.
In my region.
It confuses
in my region.
There are new lines even on
in
the
my
old
region.
factories.
In my
New
region.
lines.
There's no single factory that has been put up by the
But that doesn't mean
in the
that there
Savannah
have
region.
never been new factories.
But under 1D1F, my region had factories. We're supposed to have 7 factories by now. Not even foundation has been dug in my region. Now, Johnny, to the figures. You see, I'm on that. To the figures.
Quickly wrap up so Alfred can have your
currently,
quite enough.
Before 2016, and I want to tell you why we're better managers of the economy than Dr. Baumia. Before 2016, manufacturing rates, okay, rose at about 8.5%. Okay. Currently, under the manufacturing sector, they are doing minus. I just want to get that document.
Quickly. That will be your last point. So, Alfred can step in.
Before, under manufacturing, they are doing minus 8.5% under their era. Before COVID, Johnny.
Mind the mic for me.
Yes, don't worry. I was looking for that document. I wanted to be very exact on what I was talking about. In the manufacturing sector in 2016, we did 7.9%. Currently, they are doing 6.5%. What has resulted to that? And that was in 2019, before COVID. Before COVID, we did 4% in electricity. That was in 2016. In 2019, they did 0.5% electricity expansion. Before, in 2016, under the construction sector, we did 8.4%. Before COVID, they did minus 8.5% in that sector. With all this, they had borrowed 2.8 billion. Now, on the real economy, and I'll land on that, please. Johnny, Dr. Baumia has told us that in a quote in 2016, that the economy are not the figures or we see on the radar. The real economy is in your pocket, true or false. Before 2016, how much did we sell a bag of cement? A bag of cement went for barely 28 cedis. Today, a bag of cement is almost 60 Ghana cedis on the market. How much did even chicken, fowl, akoko, go for in the market before 2016? About 5-6 cedis.
Okay.
Today, if you want a cock and you don't have 50 cedis, you cannot buy it. And so with all this, clearly, I believe strongly that the discerning Ghanaian people have realized that we do not have a very credible head of economic management team. We have, an head of economic management team leader who is very incredible, who lies, barely to the face of Ghanaians.
Thank you.
Who is very dishonest.
Thank you.
And who is incompetent at what he does in this country.
Alfred, he paints a picture like Mr. Dongo, as if government is doing nothing. First, let's start from Vice President Baumia. He said he sees nothing good about him. What do you see?
I told you what I see good about him.
But those ones were sarcastic.
They were not good.
Thank you, John.
And, somebody lied. It's not
okay.
It's not a good talent.
Malik, you've had your turn.
Yeah, don't worry, you go on.
Okay.
Alfred, go forward.
I'll start with a quote from James 1:19.
Right. In the Bible.
So then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger.
Say it again.
James 1:19.
Right.
And it says, so then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger.
Basis.
When you rush, or when someone speaks, and you rush to respond, it tells me straight away that you are not doing your homework. That is the basic thing I can tell you. It means that you are not doing your homework. Because you might have figures before. You might assume that these are the figures I have. The person has brought his figures. You then go into or where he picked his figures from. IMF, every data he gave was accurate. You go and pick your figures and check whether what he was saying was true or not. There are people who have come out and said that, listen, Doctor has done a credible job. His figures were on point. He didn't mix his words or anything. And you know what saddens me?
Tell me.
What Doctor is doing is what he had been doing even when he started from opposition, when he wasn't even elected as the vice presidential candidate to the then candidate Akufo-Addo. He had been given series and series of lectures of how he can run this economy and how things should go. And when we won power, he still continued with the way things should go, where we came from, where we've gotten to, and where you expect us to be.
Malik said he didn't see projections.
I'm coming. When there are shortfalls, he tells you what happened. So when we have a credible opposition, who cannot push their vice presidential candidate to come and do what we did when we were in opposition to show that we are a credible government who can come into power and manage the affairs of the economy, I sit down, I ask myself, is that the clear opposition that we are looking at? Where is their vice presidential candidate? What has she said ever since
What would that change?
She is the person who should have been, if they had won election, the head of the economic management team.
What would that change?
Coming.
What would
I'm explaining to you.
Yes, right. Okay.
So we expect that let everybody put their speech together and let her come and say it. Tell us what you would have done if the COVID crisis were there. What you would have done differently. Tell us what you, as head of economic management team, we should have expected from you, and what MPP is doing wrong. We have never even
heard. I'm asking you, what would that change?
We haven't heard from them.
But what would that change?
It will change a lot of things.
Like what?
Ghanaians will see that, yes, they are a credible opposition.
But you are in power now. Why are you waiting for the opposition?
That is what I started by telling you, that when we were in opposition, when even Nanado wasn't elected as the flag bearer, Dr. Baumia was giving lectures. And he was asking them the famous 170 questions, which they couldn't even answer.
But what changed? I remember Vice President Mr. Atta had said that some of those ones are not questions, they are statements. But what did that change?
They are rhetoric questions.
Yeah, but what did that change?
It made the NDC sit on their toe or sit on their feet, and that is what drove them to Senji. Okay. To go and do the homegrown projects that they couldn't even master.
Waiting for the opposition to keep
we are not waiting for them. What I'm saying is that they are not even credible to come and talk. Who is it? Adongo Betes we are talking about, who comes to choose about anything. Sorry, Honorable Adongo Betes. Is he the one who is so credible that now he's the vice presidential candidate, or he's the head of the economic management team of the NDC? Please, you see, when you are looking at oranges, let's compare it to another orange and see that these are two political parties. Apart from we being in government, we are two political parties. So our vice president has come to speak. He's talked about the economy. He's talked about where we've gotten to. You expected him that, when he's quoting figures, he should just quote the time we were in power, but shouldn't say when you were in power and your only crisis you had was the malaria, what do you call it? Not malaria.
Ebola.
Not Ebola.
Cholera.
Cholera. It's cholera that they couldn't even manage. Those were the crises you had. Cholera that they couldn't manage. And he's told you where we picked it from, where we've gotten to, why there were some challenges. The president, even before the vice president came to speak, came out and said that, listen, there are challenges. Everybody knows. Listen, I came from Turkey recently. I can say on no uncertain terms that our currency is stronger than the Turkish lira. Yes. Us against the dollar. Check and see. We are stronger against them. But you know what? Their stability in their system is better than us. And that is where we have to look at.
So then what are you saying?
You know what? Yes. What am I saying? I'm telling you that we keep on every time, year on year on. May 1st will come. What will workers ask for? Increment, isn't it?
Right.
Forgetting that we can increase and increase and increase. What is going to happen is that every other thing will go up the moment we give you increments in salary. True or false?
But leadership gets salary increment.
Whether leadership gets it or not.
So things
our
will go
focus
up.
should not be on salary increment.
Because
the moment you ask for salary increment, everything,
but from
the watchman or garden boy or whoever down there to the top, everybody will get increment.
My personal economy was improved.
That is where we have to work on, where we have to get stability in the system, so that your money you are getting now should be able to support you, and you will even get some to save. That is what you should be looking at. That is what we should be working on. That is what I expect TUC and other organizations to challenge government and ask them why it's not happening that way, instead of asking for salary increments. So when you have our opposition coming in and fighting always, and he's a liar, he's this, he's that, and you don't have anything credible to challenge what he's saying. I said and I ask you that, are you a serious...
His figures have been fact-checked. Some say he didn't get the figures right.
Which figures didn't he get right?
So, for example, he talks about free water, free electricity. People say, what we're paying for that? You can't say they were free.
My brother.
Some are asking why he's quoting averages and percentages instead of the actual figures. Because
I'll tell you.
You don't buy fuel in percentages. You buy fuel in gallons and liters.
Sure. I'll explain things to you. You see, when we were given the water and the electricity, were people paying for it at that time?
You are a banker.
Were people paying for it?
You are a
No.
banker. If you buy something on credit, it doesn't mean you got it for free. You pay for it.
My brother, anytime someone gives you something for free, at that particular point in time, it's free.
No.
It is free.
If I come to you,
When they were giving the water during COVID time, when people were not working, when people were sitting at home, when people had to close jobs and everything, how could they pay for it?
Alfred, you're a banker. If I walk
How
to your
could
bank,
they
if I
pay
walk
for
to your
it?
bank and request for a loan or apply for a loan, and you give me the money there with all the conditionalities, does it mean the money you're giving to me is free? Because I will pay for it.
Because they
in the
give you
future.
moratorium, and
But
that's,
I will-
at that
but I
time
will-
it's free.
But I will pay. No.
Future, you pay future.
What's your definition of
Listen,
free?
let me tell you something.
What-
So you
what's
want to
your
tell me
definition
that
of
you want
free?
to tell me that all the loans and everything that previous governments have taken, are we going to blame them for it that they've taken loans?
No, but
Thank
your
you.
concept is
Thank you.
you're saying it's free.
So I'm telling you that
asking
at the time
define
that
free
you
for
were
me.
at the time that you were getting the product or the produce, it was for free.
Are you suggesting to me that when you were at the bank and somebody comes to apply for a loan
Johnny,
and you
see,
give them
are
the
confusing
money?
Two things.
No.
These are two different issues.
What-
Or scenarios. I'm telling you that at the time you were enjoying the produce, it was for free. It was for free. When you were enjoying
I am
it,
paying for it and you're telling me it's for free. That's an insult.
it's a future payment.
That's an insult.
Not an immediate
But
payment.
if I'm paying for it in
because
future-
immediately, we needed it for a purpose.
So
What
I go to
was the
Davi.
reason?
Sorry.
What was the reason for giving free
So I
water?
go to Davi. I go to Davi. I order a bowl of gobe, or zozo, or yo kegari, and I eat it there. I don't have money immediately, but I know I'll pay for it in the coming week. You say because I received it then and ate it, it's free.
Now, let me give you
That's
the
the
scenario. The
analogy.
scenario that you are making. If you don't need that yokogari and you go and take it, what is the purpose? It's not for anything.
Yes, but you pay for
But
it.
at that time, if someone who is going to die hasn't got the resources at that particular point in time, needs it to do or to save himself from dying, it is a necessity.
But it is not free.
And it is a necessity.
But
And
it
at
is
that
not
time,
free.
they didn't charge him for it. But they told him that, listen, when you are better, you will pay for it.
But it is not free then.
When you are better, you will pay for it.
But it is not
so,
free.
Johnny, you see,
But
you
it
can,
is
you
not
can
free.
throw it whether it's not free currently or it's free later on, or it's not free later, but it's, it will be charged later on and everything. But still, it comes back to the same point. What I'm saying is that when they needed to give water, people were not washing their hands. People were not going through the necessary ordeal that we needed to go through the COVID era. They realized that, listen, why don't we make this free now? Let people go through the necessary things. Let people wash down. Let people go out and come back and say that, listen, now we have water. Let us wash down. Let us do the necessary things to save lives instead of having all these debts on our hands. Let them pay for it and have so many debts and debts on our hands. Which one is better? At the moment, we need to give them something because it's a necessity. And people had to even stop work. Some organizations had to close down. Some institutions some factories had to shut down. So people were not working. Private teachers were complaining. Some of them called me that, listen, you're not getting any salary. So if you tell that person at that point in time to go and pay, and they can't pay, and their water is cut off, what happens?
So your
They are
definition
causing-
of free
they are causing
is
the-
getting something and paying for it later. Is that what you're
At
saying?
that particular point in time, it was free.
So now Malik, for example, says he didn't see any projection from the vice president's lecture. He admits that, yes, we are in a difficult place, and he tells us what the problem is. But he doesn't tell us how we're going to get out of
What
the
was
maze.
the lecture about?
The economy.
The what?
The economy.
What about the economy?
You tell me. What
He
was
said the state of the economy.
Right.
He didn't say the projections of the economy. He didn't say the projections of the economy. He said the state of the economy as at now.
So what was the essence of the lecture? If
But my
really
brother,
you
you
were
want to
doing
know, you said the man
a
has kept quiet.
retrospective
I'm coming.
view.
You said the man has kept quiet. You
Right.
said the man hasn't spoken.
Right.
You said the man should tell you what is happening in the economy now. The man sits down, he puts his figures together, tells you what is happening currently, what happened before, where we were, where we've gotten to, and how we got there, and why certain things have happened.
Right.
He's giving you all that lecture, and you come and tell me that, oh, after all, you've given me the lecture, you gave me all the necessary module figures and everything, but you didn't project on what we should look at in the future. So, I mean, where are we going to?
So, but
are we serious as a people?
But Alfred, what would be the essence of the lecture then if the teacher who is before you is just re-narrating the problems that you're aware of and not telling you what solutions could possibly come out of it? What's the essence?
What problems that you are aware of? So why were you asking the person to come and tell you what is happening in the
head of the economic management team?
You were asking the person to come and tell you in total what the problem is.
It's the same reason you're asking Professor Nana Jeno-Pokwa to come and speak.
Yes, I'm telling her to come and tell us what she would have done differently.
What should she tell you? But you are in government.
So why were they asking us to Prof to the doctor to talk?
You promised that
they were telling us that
doctor.
I'm coming. They were telling us that doctor has been silent. They were telling us doctor is not talking. They were telling us doctor has run away. They were telling us doctor doesn't even know what is happening in the economy.
I see.
And doctor said, listen, he didn't tell you that I'm coming to give you the projections of the economy. He told you that I'm coming to give you the state of the economy. As at now. And he's giving you. And he's even gone to the extent of telling you that we have put certain things in place. That's one. Sometime I heard one of your panelists saying that he didn't talk about corruption.
Yeah, Mr. Kwame Janto.
I don't need to tell you about corruption in total or in details.
But corruption affects the economy.
What he talked about corruption was that instead of me attacking people, instead of me locking people up, instead of me maligning people, what I have done, I've put measures in place to curb corruption. And that is the digitalization that he talked about. And he gave you an example in the football arena, where so much money, never in the history of Ghana, have we gone for a football match that we've raked over 1.something million as gate proceeds. Has it ever happened? No. So he's shown you how he's tackling corruption.
So for example,
you see, sometimes we should look outside the box and not just look at what is within and attack. We should understand what he's saying. We should listen.
It's okay. I'll ask you a final.
I was very quiet. Why are you so jittery?
Alfred, I'll ask you a final question.
You quoted figures and everything.
The vice president, for example, said
the figures you are quoting, I can quote.
It's only 30 minutes. How long is the program?
You spoke for 45 minutes.
How long?
You spoke for 45 minutes.
How long is the program? Both of you.
He spoke for 45
Both of you.
minutes. So how long is for 30? I have 15 minutes extra.
I'm coming.
Why are you jittery? When you are talking, I didn't even talk about anything. I need to answer more.
Alfred is in power. You're in opposition. So
thank you.
So let me ask you a very final question. So the vice president also mentioned that the passport office, for the first time, has raked in more, right? Now, question on the minds of Ghanaians is that if the passport office has raked in more, and their turnover is better, why is it difficult for people to get passport booklets now? Because passport booklets are short, 32, 48 pages. They are all short. If they are really making money.
I renewed my passport and I went through the normal process.
Yeah, but you're a big man. You're a big man.
No, I told you I went through the normal process. It didn't take me more than 2-3 weeks.
Today, if you like, people can send us messages.
When I was going to do it, people were telling me that passport booklets were short. Go through. A lot of people are doing passports.
Okay.
And you see, don't forget that when you send your thing there, even though it's electronic, you have to go there again and do the manual.
That's right.
What do you call it?
Right.
Biometrics and everything. And so a way of checking those who are dead and those who are using other people's passports and other people's biometrics and everything. So it takes time. And they need to also do checks and balances after you've done your biometrics. Because it's not just doing the biometric. They have to also check certain details.
So you're shooting down the concerns that...
I'm not shooting it down. Definitely, there could be something wrong. We can look at it.
But I'm saying that if the basis is that they have more revenue and they've been able to rake in more, they should not be having a shortage of booklets, don't you think?
They shouldn't, because they should put in measures that will make sure that they have booklets available. And I'll throw this to you to call the director of passports. He's a very cool person, very affable. You can call him anytime, and I'm sure he'll talk to you about it.
He's a big man. I don't have his number. Give me his number.
I can give you his number and you can talk to him. But to end it all, what I can tell you is that doctor, even though you might see that he did not give you figures as projections, projected where the economy is going into. Because he talked about digitalization and how we are swift and moving straight into making sure that we rake so much out of this economy.
Malik,
and make sure that Ghanaians don't suffer as they are.
Your closing thoughts. You want to talk about exchange rate?
No, he spoke about the Turkish lira. I just want to clarify something. You see, you don't just look at the rates and conclude that we are better off than them. You look at the trajectory.
Okay.
Now look at this. This is how the Turkish lira is performing. this is, let me even add the Poland zloty. This is how it's performing.
But
now look at the trajectory of the Ghana
about it.
and look at how it's performing.
Allow him.
Performing.
At times it's up. They are being counted down.
You don't just brush something down
all the time. You got all the
I
time. But
give you
Johnny,
the
in effect, you said we haven't been able to dispute the figures of Dr. Bawumia. In fact, I need not do that. Dr. Bawumia said we spent 8.1 billion. President Akufo-Addo spent on COVID. We spent 17.7 billion. His own boss has disputed the figures. And so am I the one supposed to come and sit here again and say Alhaji Bawumia has failed in his analysis? Again, he said, the figures that we put out there were realistic and what we experienced in this economy. Is it not a fact today that fuel is selling at almost 50 Ghana cedis a gallon? Is it not a fact? No, now give me one. Now give me one person who blocked. Give me one person who blocked and said on the assumption of office they were going to reduce the prices of fuel drastically than Bawumia. Give me one person who told us after power that they had arrested the dollar and the key was with the IGP than Bawumia. Give me one vice presidential candidate. Today, you are telling us to ask Professor Nana Jane to mount a podium and speak like Bawumia.
Where is she?
The man who even spoke, the man who was moving from campus to campus and bluffing and speaking big as if he knew what he was about to do, today has sunk the economy. Today is changing a dollar at almost 8 Ghana cedis. Today is buying a gallon of petrol at almost 50 Ghana cedis. That same person is selling cement today at about 70 Ghana cedis. And you tell us to copy what we were doing in opposition. Today, we have looked at the figures, and Johnny, even a ball of kinky has increased in price. That is the state of the economy. You sat here and said the state of the economy meant that what was happening in the economy today and not what was going to happen in the future. Okay, then why did Bawumia speak about what was happening in 2017 and striking averages? If we wanted to know what was happening today, he should have been quoting prices, market prices, as of today, and the suffering of the ordinary Ghanaian. Dr. Bawumia should have been telling us that today the dollar is depreciating at 14%, that today inflation is at a high point of 15%.
Okay.
But
is it true that the dollar is
inflation? Market inflation will cry low.
We need to go.
We need to go. Exactly what they only had cholera. As against the time that we had two strong international muffles that are forced us.
COVID.
Then you ask them that what did they do?
Ukraine,
okay.
Then after the Ukraine crisis and after COVID, President Akufo-Addo today is still flying at $18,000.
We need to go. Thank you. Thank you.
That is the state we are in now.
Malik Basintale is the communications officer of the Savannah region of the NDC. Thank you very much, Malik, for your time. You've been missing in action, but it's good to have you back. Also, Alfred Thompson is a regional secretary hopeful, right? Or regional chairman hopeful of the Central Region NPP, and he has his feet on the ground firmly. Thank you very much, Alfred, for your time. Good morning to Johnny and the whole crew, and a happy birthday to Place Oscar, someone currently in Logba, the Volta region, and your wife has a birthday today. Happy birthday to you, the general family. Also, a happy birthday. Okay, so someone says, Johnny, let me break your heart with this information. Most of the old men you see on the street are businessmen from Mali and Niger. They bring their goods to sell, then after selling, they send their monies back home and beg for transportation. The last time I asked one of them why they beg for money for transportation back home, he told me Ghanaians fear God so much, so they give easily. If you want to confirm this story, go to Nima and any of the Zangos around the Abosoka and you get to know what it is. Happy birthday, belated one, of course, to Mrs. Charity Haywood Amate from your children, Sharon, Celine, Abigail, and Caleb Joshua. This is from Reverend Cephas Haywood Amate. Happy birthday to you, madam. Also to you, Honorable Kofi Amankwa Menu, Deputy Minister of Defense and MP for Echema Kwanwoma constituency. Evans William Income sends this one. Adanobi Maku Kadibi Semabia Angmo. That's your birthday today from Anthony Nukmenu. Also to you, Reverend Christido Tete, founder of the Solid Rock Chapel International. Happy birthday. May God continue to increase you. From Philip Pacha and Prudence Lai, all your church members who are here who don't attend church. Mama Christy, thank you very much. We wish you all the best and we pray for you. They don't appear. And a happy birthday to our grandmother, Madame Nunu. She's 90 years strong. She's a viewer of TV3Newday. We love you. Happy birthday. Yeah, we will send her a cake. Happy birthday to you. This from Mr. Emmanuel Afo, Ebo, all of your grandchildren, your children. Madam Margaret Nunu, you are 90 years. Happy birthday to you. Stan Dogbe.
Yes.
Yeah, Stanislav. So see, Dogbe, it's your birthday today. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, and I hear you. Well, thank you to Grandpa Clothing and Dansoman for my outfit. 0209855696. There's sports, more entertainment, a lot of things on the show. Don't go away. Stay with us, brother.